Hello and welcome to Go Beyond Betty. Today we're going to make my absolute favorite chocolate chip cookies. I have been making cookies my entire life and I have tested recipe after recipe after recipe, and this is it. And it's not so much the recipe that is different, it's all about the order of events. Okay, so normally you're used to putting room temperature butter and your sugars together, beat it till it's a certain then add your dry stuff. This is completely different and throws out all those normal rules. So this one has all dry stuff starting. So we're gonna put in 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Don't mind the cloud. A cup and a half of brown sugar, just regular light brown sugar, a half a cup of white sugar, a teaspoon of kosher salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. All of it is going in there. So turn it on, let it just mix a little bit. Maybe put it up. Paddle attachment.
Yep.
Just let it all mix together. All of the dry stuff is totally mixed. I didn't crank it too high, but it is a little noisy. Then cold butter. You don't have to remember to put the butter out or melt the butter. I just kind of chunked it up into chunks just so it's easier to mix around in here. Because again, we have the paddle attachment, so it's going to break it up into smaller hunks. If you think of, anytime you're making biscuits or pie crust, you want hunks of butter still in there, because when it bakes, it's gonna help it rise and puff up. It's not just gonna sink and run out. So we're gonna put the butter in now and let it beat around until we have pea-sized pieces. Just beat it. Just beat it. You're not filming, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. I got that.
Easy. Might take a minute. Don't rush it. If you find that after a minute you have just 1 or 2 big pieces, just go in and give them a good pinch. So like this piece, if I pinch it, it kind of just flattens and goes into like 3 or 4 pieces. So just kind of give it a quick little once over. Don't worry about it. It's all gonna come out in the wash. This is where I'm gonna continue to blow your mind. So we have all of our mixture in there, and you're dying to put in your eggs and stuff. Nope, not yet. Now we go for the chocolate. When I make chocolate chip cookies, I love walnuts. Oh, jeez. I love dark chocolate. So this is Ghirardelli. There's only about 10 ounces in this. I would recommend using maybe half milk chocolate, half semi-sweet, and half dark chocolate if you only want chocolate. But I love walnuts. So I do about 10 ounces of chocolate, regardless of what kind, and about 8 ounces of walnuts. And just one quick way, I never chop them because I don't want walnut dust. I just grabbed it and I twist it, and it instantly will always break it up into like 6 semi-equal pieces. So that's what I've done to these. And even still, it's gonna paddle around, so it's gonna break those nuts up. So just a little stir. So you just want the chocolate to be equally dispersed for the most part. Now we're gonna add 2 eggs. So once that egg is fully mixed in there, give it a few shots of vanilla, wait a second, wait for the texture that you're looking for, a couple more shots, and that's it. You don't want to overmix it. If you find when you take it down it needs just another little mix or a little dot more of vanilla, you can do that, but that's it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna scoop them up and put them on a cookie sheet. I like to leave chocolate chip cookies overnight. I feel that they taste a lot more rich and caramely and buttery the next day. And I don't wanna just put this in the fridge because this would be nearly impossible to scoop. There's way too much butter in there. So you need to do it while it's still kind of room temp. And you can freeze them as balls, bake them from frozen, bake them from the fridge. and they're perfect. All right, so now they're scooped, and I'm gonna cover them with plastic wrap and put them in the fridge overnight. If you're using a 24 size scoop, you're gonna get 35 cookies. If you're using a 50 size scoop, you're gonna get 66. So these are nice if you want like a 3-bite, 4-bite cookie. This is gonna be much more like your bakery size cookie. So tomorrow I will show you what they look like baked and what else you can do with them, because I do have other suggestions for what you can do with them. So we'll see you tomorrow. So I've actually left these in the fridge for 2 days. I've left them up for, I don't know, 3-4 days before, and they're fine. If you think of it like if you're marinating meat, it's better to have like freshly cooked meat that's been marinated for 3 days versus 3-day-old cooked meat. So I promise, don't bake them ahead of time. Leave them cold. You can put them in the freezer if you wanted to. And I don't need to make all of these. I really just need a few for an event that we're going to tonight. And I make all of them, it's a large batch, because I love to freeze them. So this is a larger scoop. I'm gonna probably just put several in bags and only bake a couple tonight. If you are interested, before you put them in the fridge, when they're still moldable, you can stuff them with something. You can stuff it with like a Reese's peanut butter cup. You can put caramel in there. I mean, you can always do that with cookies, but they're awesome and super delicious. The other thing I like to do before I put them in the oven is sprinkle them with a little really coarse flaky salt, and I'll show you what kind that is in just a second. So let me bag these up, and then we'll get these on the tray ready to bake. I like this large size, so if I'm going to something and they're kind of, or if I'm using them as gifts, I definitely want the more bakery size cookie. If I'm bringing them to a family or I'm making them for my own event and having a lot of people over, I do the really small scoop, which I called it a 50. That's just the number on it. I think it's basically a tablespoon type of scoop. And those are really nice because it's like a 3-bite cookie. So if you're having multiple desserts, or people are always kind of full anyways, but everybody has room for a 3-bite cookie, these are gonna be a lot more substantial. This is definitely more of a dessert. All right, I think this is good. I probably only wanna bake, just over half a dozen. So I'm gonna spread these out. And because they're bigger, you do need to spread them out more than if it's a smaller cookie. Easy as that. So I'm gonna sprinkle this with a little bit of, it's Malden sea salt. It is super flaky. I don't know if you can see it. It probably comes in another container. This is just like, almost like a little travel container. And you want just a little bit of sea salt on there. I do use salted butter in my cookies. I know everybody tells you don't do that, but I'm an American and we tend to like a lot of salt with our sweets because we use a lot of sweet. We use a lot of sugar. We don't skimp on that, that's for sure. So it helps balance out that sweetness factor when you put a good amount of crusty sea salt. All right, so I'm gonna bake these. Depending on the size that they are, they might take 12 minutes, they might take 16. It just depends on how big it is. But they should be lightly golden brown on top, matte finish. Do you want anything shiny? Because that means it's uncooked. And just watch them, because they'll spread out, but they're not gonna spread out that much, especially because they're coming from the fridge. So let them cool on the tray for probably 5 minutes at least, and then I let them cool on the rack for maybe 10 minutes. And now I've plated them up. And I just love them. Super golden brown on the bottom. And any cookie that's made with all butter, I mean, you know it's gonna be really good. But I love it, and I wish you could hear this. You can hear just that slightest bit of crunch, and then the inside is like super chewy. It is perfection. The extra salt on top gives it just that extra, just extra flavor, really. And that's also, I love that salted butter in there. They are perfect. I promise you, I've been working for years to get this recipe, and this is the perfect one. And I love that the format for making them is totally different than a regular cookie, and I think that's what really sets it apart. So thank you for joining me at Go Beyond Betty, where you are taking whisks in the kitchen. We'll see you again next time. Bye.